Welcome back to the Make Time for Success podcast. This is episode number 75. Have you ever worked yourself to the point where you felt like you had really overdone things? Maybe you even landed yourself in hot water or even the hospital. If you're curious, if your tendency towards overworking or giving too much of yourself to help other people is affecting you negatively, this episode is for you. My guest, Sensei Victoria Whitfield, shares a goosebump-inducing story about her own experience with working herself into a dire situation, and then also shares how this event shaped her life and career after that point. It was a major transition, and we get to hear and learn from her journey. It's a fascinating story that involves her deep understanding of race, history, society, energy, and herself. I hope you enjoy this conversation and the powerful meditation she takes us through at the end of the session as well. As the first Business Reiki Master and hostess of the 5-star rated Journeypreneur Podcast on iTunes, Sensei Victoria Whitfield helps empathic entrepreneurs and leaders stay grounded and clear as they navigate the emotional roller coaster of business development by using the power of strategic meditation. Sensei Whitfield is a published author, a successful 6-figure energy healer, and she has toured the world showing heart-centered and growth-minded leaders how to get connected to their natural intuition and truly be visionary so that they can work less and increase their impact. It was such a pleasure getting to know Victoria inside this episode. Let's go listen to the episode now. Hi, I'm Dr. Christine Lee, and I'm a psychologist and a procrastination coach. I've helped thousands of people move past procrastination and overwhelm so they could begin working to their potential. In this podcast, you're going to learn powerful strategies for getting your mind, body, and energy to work together so that you can focus on what's really important and accomplish the goals you want to achieve. When you start living within your full power, you're going to see how being productive can be easy and how you can create success on demand. Welcome to the Make Time for Success podcast. Hi, everyone. Today, I am extremely excited and intrigued to have Sensei Victoria Whitfield on the show with me today. I just met Sensei Victoria 5 minutes ago, and we were paired together to be on this show, and we realized just 5 minutes ago that our energies really vibe. We are interested in very much similar topics, and I can't wait to meet you right now, Sensei Victoria, and to have you showcase your brilliance on the show today. Welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness. It is such a pleasure to get to be here, Christine, because there's no such thing as coincidence. I'm a firm believer that there's no such thing as coincidence, that whatever maybe divine timing or resonance or law of attraction, right, would bring us together. And I'm just so happy to get to be here to contribute and send lots of love to your listeners.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I already feel it. So we're going to roll here today. I want to describe the visual of I'm seeing Sensei Victoria now. She's wearing beautiful earrings, a beautiful smile, and a cap that has the hashtag visionary on it. Could you use that word to kind of launch into a description of who you are and what you do?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So for me, to be visionary has been a lifelong journey, something that brings me out of my shell. So for personally, I've been on a long journey managing my own energy, right? And being what's called an empath, which is energy sensitive and picking up on things that have been left unsaid. And what can happen along that road, I found, is that I'll tend to internalize or withhold asking for help many times. And that for me has been a big part of my own healing journey. And we can get into it in a little bit of like what exactly happened that like really caused me to go from working on myself to helping others. But fast forward to now, receiving this word, being visionary, is about helping entrepreneurs and leaders really get out there and have positive affect, especially our sisters in business, and our sister community leaders, our sister team leaders, that we become visible, our feelings, our insights, our wisdom, allowing that to become visible so that we can have more positive impact in the world around us. And that's what it means to be visionary. How I do that is through leading meditations and integrating meditation into our lives so that we show up in that more visible and positively impactful way.
Okay, beautiful. Could you describe that earlier part of your journey and what kinds of things happened to you to put you in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I am so grateful for my upbringing. I'm so grateful for my upbringing. I have two very passionate parents. One is a Baptist Christian minister. The other is an herbalist. Like she's a brilliant, like nature queen, my mother. And so the two of them were really raised me on concepts like anything the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, like Napoleon Hill, and you can do it, right? That positive affirmation. My father is Black and my mother is white. So there was a lot of instilling in my family around having a strong mental attitude and being driven, showing your value, not by the color of your skin or by your gender, but instead showing your value by getting things done and contributing and taking care of the people around you. So that, I just want to set the stage of like, it's beautiful and positive. And there's a turning point in my life where I discovered that I can have not just a can-do attitude, but I can also have a toxic can-do attitude. Because one day while I was at work, well, let me set the stage. Anytime I've ever worked for someone else, and it's been 12 years working for myself now at the filming, recording of this podcast, but anytime I've ever worked for someone else, I'm driven, responsible, detail-oriented, high follow-through, trustworthy, always end up second to the founder, key holder, manager, etc. So this day that I'm about to describe is no different than that. So I was the center coordinator for a nonprofit, which means I'm the person with, 8 arms that takes care of everything. And I was the reception. I was the web developer. I was the phones goddess. I was the housekeeper, and also the coordinator of all of the programming for the nonprofit. They had programming for interfaith understanding and social justice. It was a nonprofit here in New Jersey, USA, which is where I'm based. And this day in particular was not unlike any other day, except I missed a few windows of opportunity that I should have took, and ended up getting me into the hospital. So this is the experience of working into the hospital. I had a window of opportunity to ask for help, waiting, the 7 minutes for the founder to come back and help me open the windows on this beautiful, hot summer New Jersey day. Didn't wait those 7 minutes, right? So I missed that window of opportunity to be patient. I had another window of opportunity to call up Jimmy, the groundskeeper, and to ask for his help opening these original glass windows in this Victorian building where I was working. But I missed that opportunity. I didn't take that opportunity to ask for help. I even missed my window of opportunity to pivot 2 feet to the side and turn the air conditioner on so that I could wait. But instead, I missed that opportunity because I wanted to do things my way. So I missed the opportunity to be flexible. And so this is going to be a little graphic and painful. I'll try to make it quick. But what happened was I had opened the window before, but for whatever reason, when I jiggled it and pushed it up this time, the weight broke and fell on my fingers. And so I was trapped in this window of opportunity. I'm not good with irony here. Right down to the bone. Like I physically couldn't get out. And as I was waiting, all I could do was watch the clock. And I was alone in the building, by the way, because I'm very trustworthy. I take care of everything. But that came back to bite me. And as I watched the clock, 7 whole minutes passed. And then finally, and I couldn't scream because it was just like such a shocking feeling. The founder finally came back from just walking, like he was going for a walk on a beautiful day. Freaks out, banging on the window. Oh my gosh. And as he's doing that, like he's in his 70s, he really shouldn't be exerting his body. I have a moment of clarity that changed my life. And it was this. I thought to myself, if I don't come out of this, I won't get to see my nephew. I love my nephew. He's my favorite person. I'm coming out of this. And that awareness of I'm coming out of this, I get the chills, hit me like a bolt of lightning. And I had an experience, what they call a gamma moment of doing something you really shouldn't be able to.
Mm.
So I pulled my hands out, fainted, split my glasses on the ground as I went unconscious. And so now I'm going to the hospital, but I'm freed. What pivoted things for me was first off the sound of Bob's voice, the founder, saying, put your feet on the ground, take a deep breath in. You're going into shock. I'm calling an ambulance. Put your feet on the ground, take a deep breath in. And he kept giving me these cues that were calming as I was shaking. But it was an amazing experience. And he also started moving his hands in like kind of a weird or mysterious way over my fingers. Not until much later did I learn what he was doing was called healing touch, which is a form of energy therapy. And I could feel as if the pain was leaving my fingers as he was doing that. And he had taught meditation for 40 years before. He's just a really wonderful man. So that was the first thing of like, okay, meditation, this like mysterious energy stuff, first thing that shifted my state. And then as I'm being wheeled into the ambulance once it came, my worst fear at the time was going to the hospital because I was working there as a safe and emotionally safe environment to work in because I had worked for really abusive bosses before. And it proved to be that. But I didn't have benefits as I was being put on the ambulance. I was terrified. I knew just how much the hospital bill could cost. And to my surprise, this is the second thing that shifted my state that day. And it was as I was being put into the ambulance, from all around the campus, people started running up, shouting one thing. And I have no idea why to this day. They were saying, is she going to have to pay for that? She better not have to pay for that. How much money does she need? How much money does she need? Does she need money? Or is she all right? She better not have to pay for that. I got 100, or you let me know where to send, blah, blah, blah. But literally people running. I've never seen this since also. People don't usually run towards ambulances wanting to give money. But that was the other experience of that day, of the lesson of the one thing I was the most afraid of was the bill from going to the hospital. But I learned that if you are visibly open to receiving, unfortunately, this time it was by force, you will get even more than you could have ever possibly expected. In fact, the campus church did a capital campaign to raise $250,000, overhaul the whole building that I was in so that would never happen again. And it was on behalf of the love and the presence that I had given there. And so that was the turning point for me of, all right, well, for one, I want to work on this toxic can-do attitude in me that stops me from asking for help and that makes me feel a sense of impatience, or also causes me to silence myself and not see the resources that I have, right? The waiting for Bob, calling Jimmy, right? Or trying to turn on the air conditioner. I went on that personal healing journey, but also exploring there's more to my physical body than I've ever known before, right? This energy body. And what does that mean? And what was it about me or about the situation that caused people to want to come together in a state of crisis? And so I went on my own internal journey, like exploring that. And it brought me to this practice called Reiki, learning more about energy healing and our relationship with the world around us. The more that I practiced Reiki, the more I started to attract conscious people into my life. And the more I was surprised that other people have this same toxic can do attitude, or it's also known as being a workaholic, right? That there are more people who will push themselves to give, right? Especially our sisters, right? Women, especially, will push ourselves to give without consciousness of how we are feeling, or slowing down, or taking our time, or opening up to ask for help and using the resources. There's like this push forward. And the more that I would do Reiki, the more it opened up new possibilities where there's a different way to be. And so over time, the more I started sharing Reiki, I also noticed I was attracting a very specific kind of person. And it was people who were service minded, or in leadership positions, business owners, or people who specifically had a commitment to serve others. Mothers, right? Community leaders kept coming for this energy clearing that I was practicing. And so that's where I really started to develop community around what is it about us as service minded leaders that can cause us to work ourselves into the hospital, right? Or to put our health last. And that's what really gave birth to more of the movement that I've started around being visionary, and being conscious of this pattern in me, or this pattern in us, around overdoing it and allowing our lives to be burnt out, and allowing it to be acceptable that we're just constantly tired, or getting hurt, or not stopping unless something breaks, right? Whether it's a bone breaking, like in my case, or if it's the finances breaking, the relationship breaking, just going until we are stopped, rather than having a more balanced state. And that's really what brought me here.
Thank you for sharing this story, which is very powerful on a lot of different fronts. Obviously, just imagining the weight of the crash, your shock, being healed on the spot like that, and the community response, and then the fact that it led to such a life transformation and opening up for you. Thankfully, it was a good outcome. I'm seeing you with beautiful use of your hands right now. Thank goodness. I'm reacting in so many different ways. So basically, the first point is I'm grateful that you are well, and that was a very positive outcome for you in the end, and for the university and the people around you and the people that you've been able to help. I am very curious about the can-do attitude and its toxicity. My own theory, which I probably got from some book somewhere, was that some of us feel not worthy enough to reciprocate or do our share, or feel like we're good enough or at a standard enough, so that the only option available is this overwork, this over involvement, this over expenditure of energy. So I came up with that idea a while ago, and it stuck with me because I feel like, why is it so difficult to ask for help? What are your thoughts about that concept and other thoughts that you might be having?
Yeah, oh my word. So this is so juicy. I'm so happy we're having this conversation, Christine. Oh my gosh. So for me, the first thing that drops in around where is this toxic can-do attitude coming from? For one, I think historically as well as socially, like those things drop in for me, historically and socially. And I know for me personally, as a multiracial individual in America, black and white. So there is and white female and black male. So the pain of the black male, the pain of black men is something that I've inherited, of like, you don't ask for help because like the police will kill you here, kind of a thing, or you're essentially seen as dangerous just because of who you are. So that's on the pain of the black man. And the reason why I'm invoking that is not to blame racism or societal functions, but actually my guides are telling me to say that there is the pain of the black man within all people, within you, within white men, within others. There is the pain of being misunderstood and written off simply because of who and what you are. And then on the pain of the white female in America. So the feminist movement, right, to bring forward women's voices and women's rights to earn the same amount. Like my mother is actually, she has an IQ of over 160, extremely intelligent, and has had so many experiences of sex and gender-based discrimination in the workplace, honey, sweetie, baby, infantilization of the woman, but then also coming from the older white money that expects you to act a certain way and only be quote unquote with your kind. And if you have different preferences, you are shamed and contained, right? And you're not allowed to have sexuality. You're not allowed to have beliefs that are different spiritual beliefs. So there's this pain of specifically the white woman experience, but within everyone, within Indian men, that misunderstanding of being controlled and contained as a resource rather than seen as an equal human being, right? So these two, historically looking at different forms of pain and encoding that we receive in our socialization, think of the message of my parents. If you prove your worth, right, getting to your point around worthiness, you prove your worth not by your gender, not by the color of your skin or your economic situation, but what you can contribute. And so there is this constant historic drive to, I gotta prove my worth, right? I gotta show my ancestors, whether they're immigrants or whatever, I gotta show my ancestors that things are better now because I have agency. So that, like, on one hand, like, I want to answer your question honoring, like, historically, but then I also look at now socially, like the influence, especially for me as someone who's energy sensitive, the drive to get things done or the drive to contribute is not just historic, but it's also a form of emotional self-protection. It's a form of emotional self-protection. An empath is someone who picks up on other people's feelings. And women know that intuitively because, like, we have women's intuition. We're exceptional communicators. And being empathic is a form of advanced communication when understood. When misunderstood, you're seen as an emotional sponge. Like, why do you take everything so seriously? It's no big deal. Simmer down, pipe down, blah, blah, blah. So with that, if you are that kind of an energy sensitive person, right? So just assuming that we are, I know I am, there's this drive to make sure that all the people around you feel good so that you can feel good. Like, there's this thing, I'll put it on me. There's this pattern in me that says, if everyone around me doesn't feel loved and safe, I am not loved and safe. Now, there's good and bad in everything. Like, there's beauty in that, having that heart-centered service mindset of, like, making sure that everyone around me feels absolutely bathed in love and safety and protection. Yet at the same time, the bigger the front, the bigger the back, as they say in traditional Chinese medicine. So, like, the bigger the back of, all right, everyone else around me has to feel, when do I get to be considered? Am I ever allowed to be prioritized, or is my existence a function of others' feelings? So that's what I would say.
My reaction to that is when we land in the hospital.
Yes.
Which I had not connected when you told your story, but that was in some ways my own kind of major turning point when I worked myself literally sick in graduate school and just kept pushing through and kept pushing through and ended up with walking pneumonia with several people telling me to get to the doctor and mine not even knowing how deeply ill I had gotten myself. So that was my reaction. Yeah, it's quite toxic.
Mhm.
It's quite socially mediated and oftentimes unrecognized by the people around us, that there's this process going on inside. I'm just processing my own history along with you. And I'm looking at my notes about what you said about the Black man and the white woman and the dangers of being misunderstood and the dangers of being controlled and contained. It's no wonder that we would turn to ourselves to stay safe and active at the same time, that you don't want to sacrifice your agency and your mobility and your power, but you also are believing that the only way you can secure that and have it work for you safely is to do it yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. And that reframe of seeing the wounds of our marginalized sisters and brothers. And it's not just like, oh, white women are the only people who have pain and Black men are the only people. I'm talking about for those who are going through things that make us uncomfortable, like Black women, right, in corporate America and limited upward mobility because they're seen as threatening, or for our Latinx, right, sisters and brothers, their ability to have agency, right? Or for Chinese descendant individuals in Canada, right, into discrimination against that. So to be able to see the wisdom that you're like, just like what you said, Christina, your story is my story. How is your story my story? How is this person, what they're going through, my story as well? And how can, in witnessing them, really witness myself so that I'm brought to the table without working myself into the hospital, right? Or working myself sick. My guides just said, there are enough mirrors to go around. There are enough mirrors to go around. You don't have to get hurt in order to see yourself. This is like a very, well, duh kind of thing to say. But to the sisters who are listening in and vibing with us, there's this permission slip that I feel we are being called to write in this moment for ourselves of like, you know what? I am worthy even when I'm not hurt. I am worthy even though I am not vulnerable at the moment. I can ask for help without there being a disaster. Right. These internal permission slips, because you had mentioned before we hit the recording, Christine, that like how you resonated with some of my message was around talking about exhaustion and this lack of self permission slips and lack of creating an idea of one's worth as opposed to saying self worth. Like I want to give more agency to it and more of like a crafting sense of creating an idea of one's worth. That lack of that engagement with the process of crafting worth and the worth of oneself. I feel that, and you tell me what you feel. I feel that really contributes to exhaustion in women, that we're just not involved in the process of, for whatever reason, we're distracted. Thank you, was the word I just heard. We're distracted from that process of writing out and crafting our own idea of our worth. Well, what do you feel?
I feel like I've been in those kinds of conversations of late, very recently, that it seems women are being encouraged to do the self-care that's very in vogue, which is a very good thing. But it's also, I think, fairly recent a thing to have such focus, and that historically and traditionally it has not been. And that is where all the missteps and codependency and overwork and burnout and resentment and difficulty and stress kind of has so much room to grow and scale, because there isn't this return to the self that's allowed, and people feel like they don't have time for it. Even if they want it, they feel like, well, my time is already taken. And there's a huge human cost. Families, societies, bodies are suffering because we're not taking the time with pleasure and with permission and with freedom at will to take care of ourselves. So here we are taking the time to put out these conversations to our friends, sisters and brothers, to take the time to tend to yourself, because that is safety. But do it with the comfort of the people around you who are on the same kinds of journeys, who have things to share and can lend you their energy when you are feeling short on yours. I think that is the pleasure that I get from doing things like podcasting and being a psychologist and teaching about beating procrastination, because whatever lightening I can do for other people lightens mine. It just makes me feel better about life and helps me to ease up on myself oftentimes. So that's my answer, my long answer.
Yay, I love it. Amen. People do things because they feel like it. And the better you feel, the more you're able to do. And the more good things you're able to do. If you feel good, you have more access, hello, blood and oxygen. You have more blood and oxygen flowing through your brain so that you can make more soul aligned, right, or value-based decisions. And so what matters most is how you feel, because it drives what's the type of actions that we're taking, and lifting up the positive feeling, right, of our sisters and brothers around us, as well as all that are listening in, right, as well as lifting up our own power of positive feeling, our good feeling, gives us the ability to see the forest for the trees, rather than getting lost in old programming of give, human machine, give, human machine.
Suffer. Yeah. Let's not suffer anymore. I just feel like the weight and the suffering and the stress is too much. Even if it's supposed to be in there, it's just too much. It's just out of proportion a lot of times. Right now we're recording during Omicron COVID times, and really these are the times to take every moment you can spare to tend to yourself, to tend to your heart, tend to your spirit, tend to your mind, tend to your goals, tend to what's important to you, meet new friends, and put your crafted worth out there. Mm-hmm. Let it shine. Let people see who you are, because that's also safety. Yeah. It's not just doing, it's also just showing, showing who you are and what you need. That's also a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Speaking of showing, would you mind doing a meditation or exercise with us to demonstrate the kinds of work that you do with your clients?
Yeah, 100%. So I practice something called strategic meditation. And strategic meditation, this is also what I teach. So strategic meditation is meditation done first and with intention. And so there's types of meditation that are like, all right, beam me up, Scotty. Like I'm relaxed, or I'm asleep, or I'm like traveling through the universe, or with crystals and stuff. And I love all of that. I'm not saying that's wrong or bad or anything. And for those of us who are called to contribute, right, and who are in servant leadership roles, the ability to pause powerfully is essential to being resilient and having the confidence that we're headed in the right direction. And so with that in mind, I'd love to do a brief strategic meditation for helping find the right stream, the right flow. So drawing your awareness to the source of all life, whatever that means to you. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, aligning with the source of all life. Perhaps it is high above or deep within. Drinking in your birthright, your connection to the source of all life. Breathing in. Allowing that to spread throughout your brain, your eyes. Trickling down, healing source light. Aligning down your spine. Oxygen flowing into your lungs, your heart, source of all life, into your intestines, flowing throughout your arms and hands, receiving healing energy, your birthright, connection to the source of all life, flowing into your pelvic floor, hips, buttocks, legs, and thighs, your knees, calves, ankles, and feet, every eyelash, every hair, infused and aligned with the source of all life, and intending to be aligned, calibrating your inner compass, open and relaxed, breathing into the areas of your body that may have tension, filling them with more source, more life, exhaling and releasing any tension, tightness, or non-consensual containment, opening and relaxed, releasing self-sabotage, releasing self-silencing, releasing self-shaming, like roots grounding into the earth, expressing and releasing excess energy, connecting to the flow of life, if only just for now, open and relaxed. Or as we say in Reiki, if only just for today, deciding to let go. Let go of judgment, let go of shame, let go of pushing, letting go of what no longer serves, if only just for now, letting go of lies, lies inherited, lies created, lies told, lies heard. Seeing lies, misalignment, and inauthenticity, again through the roots of light that come out of you, flowing into the earth to be repolarized. Energy is energy. Let it go and grow something new. Thank you, and we release you. With a deep breath in, exhaling into blessings, exhaling into truth, inhaling that alignment, the source of all life, inhaling permission, worth, inhaling the word and, down through the crown of your head and out through your hands and feet, infusing the word and. I love people and myself. I give to my children and to myself. I value people and myself. I pour into others' businesses and my own. I am healthy and happy, receiving the word and. Breathing that in. Exhaling. Knowing that you are safe and affirming inwardly to your inner child, I am safe here. And so it is.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. I hope that our listeners enjoyed that experience as much as I did. I could hear your kindness in every word. So thank you, Sensei Victoria, for showing us how powerful connecting the spirit, purpose, kindness, and words can be, even in a short space of time, and that we can have such power between ourselves when we take the time and focus like this. It was really a nice lesson and a great experience. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, truly.
Could we now hear how to stay connected with you, how to learn more from you, and what kind of people are you wishing to attract to your circle right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for that. I received the spirit of inclusion and celebration in that ask, in that invitation. So how to connect with me? You can find me at victoriawhitfield.com. All the things are there. And especially for listening to a podcast, I recommend podcast listeners go to victoriawhitfield.com/podcast, because there's goodies and freebies and meditations and wonderful resources to deepen your journey. And the types of people that I serve best are those who are visionary. Like, as you did that meditation, did images or ideas come up, realizations? My role is to help keep that line of vision and truth clear and flowing, as well as help clarify any decision making along the process following those insights, right? So that you can really meet the goals that are soul aligned. So for me, I connect with people who are here and they're called to serve others, or are actively serving others, right, in different leadership roles, as entrepreneurs, leaders, parents, managers, but are forgetting to keep that connection to their own inner truth and worth. I really love to help people who are serving others know that they are so loved and to feel it, so they take the right actions that preserve their health and well-being. Yeah.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. I believe your podcast is called Journeypreneur.
Yeah. The
Yes.
Journeypreneur Podcast. Absolutely. So gosh, we have, I don't know at this point, because you know how it is. We're always recording. I think we have at least over 170 episodes. So it's to share insights from my own journey of like how to really stay on the path to serving others in a soul aligned way. That's the journeypreneur, is an entrepreneur who is on this journey to making positive impact in the world and not giving up on the journey, as well as interviews so that others can share their insights. Side note, I would love to have you as a guest if you're open to it. I'd love to share.
I'm game. Totally. It will be so much fun and an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Victoria, it has been beautiful getting to know you. Very powerful work. Your roots are very powerful. Your branches are also very powerful, and I'm sure are going to help so many as you go forward. Thank you for sharing this time with me and with my listeners. Thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Bye, everyone. We will see you next week. Thanks for being here on the Make Time for Success podcast. Take care. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Make Time for Success podcast. If you enjoyed what you've heard, you can subscribe to make sure you get notified of upcoming episodes. You can also visit our website, maketimeforsuccesspodcast.com, for past episodes, show notes, and all the resources we mention on the show. Feel free to connect with me over on Instagram too. You can find me there under the name Procrastination Coach. Send me a DM and let me know what your thoughts are about the episodes you've been listening to. And let me know any topics that you might like me to talk about on the show. I'd love to hear all about how you're making time for success. Talk to you soon.